The massive obsidian doors of the Galactic Council's grand chamber parted with a low rumble. Ambassador Elena Reyes took a deep breath, straightened her formal blue diplomatic uniform, and stepped forward. Her footsteps echoed across the polished floor, each sound amplified in the sudden silence that fell over the cavernous hall. Rising in concentric tiers around her were hundreds of alien representatives. Some resembled insects with compound eyes that tracked her movement. Others were gaseous entities contained in hovering environmental suits. Many were humanoid, but none were human. All of them watched her with varying degrees of curiosity, disdain, or outright hostility. At the far end of the chamber, elevated above all others, sat the 7 members of the High Council, the founding races who had ruled the galaxy for 12 million years. The central figure rose slowly, a towering crystalline being whose faceted body captured and reflected the chamber's ambient light. Humanity. Of Sol System. The crystal being's voice resonated. Without visible means of amplification, I am High Arbiter Vorthax. You stand before the Galactic Council as the youngest spacefaring species to achieve faster-than-light travel independently. This achievement has concerned us. Elena felt tiny beneath the collective gaze of the assembly but maintained her composure. Humanity had prepared for this moment ever since their first contact with alien traders had revealed the existence of the Council. For 12 million cycles, the Council has maintained galactic stability through carefully managed technological advancement and resource allocation, Vorthax continued. All species who join our collective contribute according to their capabilities. A holographic display materialized above the chamber floor, showing Earth and its solar system in perfect detail. Data streams highlighted mineral deposits, biological diversity, and unusual energy signatures. Your world possesses resources of significant value, said a serpentine figure seated beside Vorthax. I'm Counselor Drell. The Council has determined an appropriate tribute. The hologram shifted to display a list of demands. 30% of Earth's rare minerals, exclusive rights to the gas giants of the outer solar system, biological samples from 5,000 species including humans, and complete access to all human technological developments. Elena's hand tightened around the small device in her pocket, a quantum communicator, linking her directly to the United Earth Defense Council. Compliance ensures protection and eventual full membership, Vorthax stated, his crystalline face impossible to read. Refusal is unprecedented. Elena stepped forward. The people of Earth thank the Council for their generous offer of membership. However, we require 72 hours to confer with our leadership regarding these terms. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. No species had ever requested time to consider tribute demands. You misunderstand, Ambassador, Vorthax said, leaning forward. This is not a negotiation. Elena smiled slightly. Neither is it a surrender, High Arbiter. 72 hours. Then humanity will provide its response. As she turned to leave, the hidden device in her pocket transmitted a single encrypted message back to Earth. Contingency Astral Shield. Commence immediately. The human embassy station orbiting Galactic Hub Prime was modest compared to the sprawling complexes of established council members. Elena strode through the security checkpoint, her face tight with tension. They're already moving, aren't they? Asked Commander Marcus Okafor, Earth's military attaché, as he fell into step beside her. Elena nodded. Council vessels changing course toward Sol System. They're calling it protective measures. Inside the secure conference room, Dr. Lakshmi Patel and intelligence specialist Thomas Novak waited with multiple holographic displays active. Project Prometheus? Elena asked, activating the room's security protocols. Dr. Patel nodded, her hands dancing across the control interface. Phase 1 is ready for activation. Earth Defense Command confirms the SHIELD network can be fully operational within 48 hours. Not fast enough, Elena said. The Council's protection fleet will reach our system before then. Commander Okafor pulled up a tactical display. We expected this. Operation Mirage is already underway. False energy signatures, drone ships, phantom communications. We'll give them so many targets they won't know which to focus on. What about potential allies? Elena asked, turning to Novak. The intelligence specialist smiled for the first time. Better than expected. I've identified 27 species who've been chafing under tribute requirements. 6 have already sent encrypted communications expressing interest in cooperation. The founders have maintained control for millions of years by keeping subject species isolated and dependent, Dr. Patel added. No one's ever offered an alternative before. Elena studied the classified files on her display, details of Project Prometheus that Earth had kept hidden from Council surveillance. For decades, humanity had prepared for this confrontation, developing technologies in secret while presenting a facade of a relatively primitive spacefaring civilization. We need more time, Dr. Patel said, reviewing the data. The quantum communication network isn't ready for galaxy-wide deployment. We'll have to accelerate the timeline, Elena decided. The Council isn't just coming for resources. They're coming to ensure we don't disrupt their control system. The communication panel chimed with an urgent signal. Elena activated it, revealing the face of an aide from the Council Liaison Office. Ambassador Reyes, your presence is required immediately in the Grand Chamber. The Council has detected unusual energy signatures from Earth and demands explanation. After the aide's image disappeared, Commander Okafor looked grim. They've spotted the shield preparations. Good, Elena said, surprising them all. It's time for the next phase. Commander, alert Earth defense. Operation Mirage goes to full implementation. Dr. Patel, prepare the quantum network for emergency activation. Specialist Novak, contact our potential allies. Tell them to watch the Council session. Humanity is about to show the galaxy what real cooperation looks like. As Elena headed back toward the Council chamber, Dr. Patel called after her. What will you tell them about the energy signatures? Elena smiled, a predator's expression that didn't reach her eyes. I'll tell them the truth, just not all of it. Sometimes the best way to hide something isn't to conceal it, but to make them think they've already found what they're looking for. She stepped into the transport shuttle, her mind racing through scenarios. The Council had demanded tribute from 100 worlds before Earth, bleeding them dry of resources while keeping them technologically dependent. What the founders didn't understand was that humans had never responded well to demands. The Galactic Council's emergency session convened in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other as holographic displays showed massive energy signatures emanating from Earth. Ambassador Elena Reyes walked into the storm with measured steps, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the surrounding panic. High Arbiter Vorthax silenced the chamber with a thunderous slam of his crystalline appendage against the ancient table. The sound reverberated through the vast hall, instantly commanding attention. Explain these readings, Ambassador, Vorthax demanded, his voice cutting through the now quiet space. Your planet has activated planetary shields beyond your registered technological capability. Elena approached the central floor with unhurried confidence. High Arbiter, distinguished Council members. What you're detecting is merely an energy containment field, a precaution given recent solar flare activity in our system. Deception, hissed Councillor Drell, his serpentine body coiling tighter. Our analysis indicates quantum phase barrier technology. Technology your species claimed not to possess during your registration interviews. Elena activated her own holographic display, showing solar activity data from Sol. Perhaps your sensors are miscalibrating the readings from our rudimentary protection grid. We would welcome technical assistance if the Council is concerned. The tactical brilliance of her response silenced the chamber. Offering inspection would force the Council to either admit they were wrong or reveal their advanced surveillance capabilities, which they maintained were only for emergency situations. Vorthax's crystalline features hardened. The Council reiterates its demand for immediate tribute. Your delay tactics only jeopardize Earth's standing. We still have 51 hours remaining of our requested time, High Arbiter, Elena replied. Unless the Council wishes to violate its own charter of civilizational rights. Back at the embassy, intelligence specialist Novak rushed to meet Elena as she returned. You need to see this, he said, leading her to the secure communications center. On the main screen was a message, not from Earth, but from representatives of 3 different species, the Tellurians, the Vosh Collective, and the Meridian Alliance. All were what humans had begun calling tribute species. They reached out while you were in session, Novak explained. They've been watching our interactions with the Council very carefully. The founders maintain power through technological dependencies, said the Tellurian representative, a being with silver blue skin and large thoughtful eyes. Each tributary world receives technology that seems advanced, but contains fundamental limitations and requires resources from other tributary worlds to function. A system of enforced interdependence, Elena realized. No single species can break free without losing critical technologies. Until now, said the Vosh representative, a swarm intelligence whose component parts formed a roughly humanoid shape. Your world developed independently. You have no technological dependencies on the Council. Dr. Patel entered, excitement visible on her face despite her obvious exhaustion. Ambassador, we've completed our analysis of Council technology. While individually more advanced in some areas, their tech has remained stagnant for millennia. They haven't innovated. They've just been redistributing the same technologies in different combinations. Control, not advancement, Elena murmured. That's why they're so alarmed by Earth. We represent unpredictable development outside their system. Commander Okafor joined them, his expression grim. The Council's inspection fleet has entered the outer Sol system. 7 vessels heavily armed. Earth defense has activated our orbital platforms, but we've kept them masked with signature dampening technology as ordered. Elena turned to Dr. Patel. How soon can we deploy the quantum communication network? Global implementation is complete. Extending beyond our system would require... Dr. Patel paused, looking at the representatives on the screen. With help from established relay points on other worlds, we could achieve galaxy-wide coverage within hours instead of weeks. The 3 alien representatives exchanged glances. What exactly would this network do? Asked the Meridian, a crystalline entity not unlike Vorthax but smaller and with swirling patterns of light beneath its surface. Break the Council's information monopoly, Elena explained. They control all faster-than-light communication. Every message between worlds passes through Council filters and relays. Our network uses quantum entanglement, Dr. Patel added. Communication is instantaneous, unhackable, and completely outside Council infrastructure. No filters, no monitoring, no control. You're not just refusing tribute, the Tellurian said slowly. You're challenging the foundation of Council power. Elena nodded. The tribute demand was never about resources. It was about bringing Earth under control before we could pose a real threat to their system. The 3 representatives conferred privately, then turned back to the screen. We will provide relay access, the Vosh Collective announced. And we can bring 12 more worlds into the network immediately. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Patel pulled Elena aside. There's something else you need to know. We found evidence that the Council has been suppressing a revolutionary energy technology, zero-point energy extraction. It's the same method we independently developed 5 years ago. Why suppress it? Elena asked. Because it makes resource control obsolete, Commander Okafor answered, joining them. With ZPE technology, worlds wouldn't need to trade for energy resources. The entire tribute system would collapse. An alert sounded from the communications panel. Council inspection vessels are requesting docking clearance at Earth orbital stations, the duty officer reported. Elena smiled. Perfect timing. Dr. Patel, activate the quantum network. Full deployment. Commander Okafor, transmit ZPE technical specifications to all our new allies. Specialist Novak, prepare a message to be broadcast simultaneously to every world in Council space. What are you going to tell them? Novak asked. The truth, Elena replied. For the first time in 12 million years, the galaxy will hear an unfiltered truth. Hours later, Elena stood again in the Council chamber. But this time the atmosphere was different. Representatives whispered urgently to each other, many openly using small devices that hadn't been present before, quantum communication nodes provided by Earth. Our inspection fleet reports they've lost all contact with their homeworlds. Vorthax said, his voice no longer confident but uncertain. What have you done? Elena activated the central holographic display. It showed thousands of points of light across the galaxy map, each representing a world now connected to Earth's quantum network. Humanity rejects your demand for tribute. High Arbiter, Elena announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. And we've shared our rejection with the galaxy, along with something far more valuable than any resource you could extract from us. What have you given them? Demanded Counselor Drell, panic evident in his voice. Choice, Elena answered simply. For the first time since your founding races established dominance, the worlds of this galaxy can communicate freely. without your monitoring or control. They can share technologies without your permission. They can coordinate without your oversight. The display shifted to show technical specifications flowing between worlds. 0 point. Energy extractors being built on dozens of planets simultaneously. This is unprecedented interference. Vorthax thundered. The Council will not— The Council, Elena interrupted calmly, is no longer the only voice in the galaxy, and humanity's response to your tribute demand is just beginning. The Grand Chamber had transformed from an orderly assembly into fragmented clusters of heated discussion. Species that had been separated by Council communication protocols for millennia were now directly conferring through Earth's open quantum network. The air hummed with the overlapping sounds of translation devices and emotional exchanges. High Arbiter Vorthax and the founding races occupied their seats at the high table, their usual imperious demeanor replaced by barely contained fury. Council security forces lined the walls, energy weapons visible, an unprecedented show of force in the diplomatic chamber. Ambassador. Elena Reyes walked in accompanied by representatives from 12 tribute species who had publicly allied with Earth. She wore a simple blue diplomatic uniform, carrying no weapon, but the small silver pin on her collar, Earth's new quantum communication node, gleamed noticeably. You have violated the fundamental laws of this council, Vorthax thundered, his crystalline form vibrating with anger. Unauthorized communication technology, unregistered defensive systems, interference with established hierarchical order. High Arbiter, Elena responded, her voice amplified to reach every corner of the vast chamber. Earth has violated no laws. We simply chose not to volunteer all of our capabilities during your assessment interviews, just as the founding races withheld the existence of zero-point energy technology from the galaxy for 12 million cycles. Gasps and murmurs cascaded through the chamber. On the secondary tiers, representatives from dozens of worlds activated data terminals, searching for confirmation. Earth does not come seeking conflict, Elena continued. We come with a counteroffer. She activated a holographic display showing designs for a new galactic charter, one based on cooperative development rather than tribute humanity. Rejects your demand for tribute not out of defiance, but because the entire concept is unnecessary. We have already transmitted the specifications for efficient zero-point energy harvesters to every world in the Council. Resource scarcity is now a choice, not a reality. The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted questions, demands, and expressions of disbelief. The founding races conferred urgently among themselves, their private communication channels suddenly insufficient for the crisis they faced. Vorthax raised a crystalline arm, and the chamber's sound-dampening field activated, forcing silence. This session is suspended. All representatives will return to their designated areas until further notice. Few moved to leave. The Council's authority, unquestioned for millions of years, had suddenly become paper-thin. I suggest an alternative, High Arbiter, Elena said into the forced quiet. Let us discuss the transition to a more equitable galactic governance together, openly, with all voices heard. There will be no discussion, Vorthax stated flatly. Security, escort the human delegation from the chamber. The rest will disperse immediately. The security forces moved forward, but halted when representatives from 20 different worlds stepped between them and the human delegation. We stand with Earth, announced the Tellurian ambassador, his silver-blue skin shimmering under the chamber lights. The time for tribute is over. Elena and her team returned to the embassy where Dr. Patel waited with urgent news. Council military vessels are mobilizing. Throughout the galaxy, not just near Earth, they're moving to secure key relay points and resource worlds, Commander. Okafor studied the tactical displays with a grim expression. They're preparing to reassert control by force if necessary. Classic response to losing information dominance. Control the physical infrastructure instead. Intelligence specialist Novak entered, his face pale. We've intercepted communications. Between the founding races, they're discussing something called Galactic Reset, some kind of doomsday protocol for situations where their control is threatened. What kind of reset? Helena asked. Unknown, but the context suggests automated weapons platforms throughout the galaxy, long dormant but capable of devastating planetary bombardment. Dr. Patel looked up from her workstation. Ambassador, I've finalized the technical specifications for the zero-point energy harvesters. They can now be built with locally available materials on any moderately industrialized world. Good, Elena nodded. Transmit the updated designs through the quantum network immediately. Commander, what's the status of Earth's defenses? Our systems have detected multiple stealth vessels approaching Sol system from unexpected vectors. The Council is testing our perimeter awareness. So far, our countermeasures are holding. A communication alert sounded, displaying a message from their 12 allied species. The founding races have activated emergency protocols throughout the galactic hub. They're sealing off sectors and restricting movement. This is unprecedented. Elena made her decision. It's time for Phase 2 of Project Prometheus. Dr. Patel, transmit activation codes to Earth Defense Command. Phase 2 isn't scheduled for deployment for another month, Dr. Patel protested. The integration testing is a luxury we no longer have, Elena interrupted. The founding races are escalating faster than anticipated. We need to show them what true cooperation can achieve. Throughout the Sol system, previously concealed defense platforms shed their disguises as research stations. A network of quantum-entangled defensive systems activated, creating localized space-time distortions capable of curving incoming weapons fire away from protected areas. Meanwhile, small teams of Earth specialists, deployed secretly throughout Council space over the preceding years, activated hidden scanning arrays. Within hours, they had located 40% of the Council's dormant weapons platforms. Elena received an urgent summons back to the Council, where Vorthax waited with only 3 other founding race representatives. Your actions threaten stability across thousands of worlds, Vorthax began without preamble. But the Council recognizes humanity's unusual capabilities. A revised proposal offered another founder, a gaseous entity contained in an ornate floating sphere. Earth will become a special advisor to the founding races. Your technology will be shared, but through Council-approved channels to ensure proper implementation. Elena studied them carefully. And the existing tribute requirements for other worlds will continue as established, Vorthax stated. The system maintains balance. Your interference has already caused resource distribution disruptions on 17 worlds, because those worlds are building their own energy production systems, instead of extracting resources to trade for Council-controlled energy, Elena replied. The disruption is temporary. The freedom is permanent. She activated her quantum communicator, broadcasting her next words to every connected world. Humanity rejects the Council's revised proposal. We will not become complicit in a system of control and dependency. Vorthax's crystalline form darkened ominously. You leave us no choice but to invoke emergency powers. The consequences. Elena's communicator chimed with an incoming priority message. She glanced at it, then looked up at the founders with a calm smile. Before you finish that threat, High Arbiter, you should know that Earth has just neutralized 60% of your hidden weapons platforms. The remaining 40% are now surrounded by quantum field generators that will redirect any energy discharge back to its point of origin. The founders froze in stunned silence. This isn't a negotiation about Earth's place in your system, Elena continued. This is a fundamental transformation of how the galaxy functions. The age of tribute is over. The age of cooperation has begun. As Elena turned to leave, Vorthax called after her, his voice no longer commanding but almost plaintive. You cannot understand what you're dismantling. The stability of 12 million years was built on suppression and control, Elena finished for him. What comes next will be built on something stronger, mutual benefit and shared advancement. Outside the chamber, Commander Okafor was waiting with urgent news. A massive Council dreadnought just appeared in Earth orbit, Ambassador. It somehow bypassed our entire defense network. Impossible, Elena whispered. Unless the founders have technologies even more advanced than we anticipated, Okafor confirmed grimly. It's broadcasting an ultimatum. Surrender all quantum technology or face planetary bombardment. Elena's communicator lit up with messages from their allied worlds, offers of support, military assistance, evacuation options. No, she said, making her decision. Tell Earth Defense Command to activate final phase. Authorization Reyes Delta 7 Omega. Final phase wasn't scheduled for 3 more months, Okafor protested. The galactic hub station trembled as ancient systems activated throughout its superstructure. Emergency lights bathed the corridors in crimson as thousands of representatives and staff rushed toward evacuation points. Automated voices announced, "Sovereignty protocol initiated. Non-founding personnel must evacuate immediately." In a secured chamber deep within the station, Ambassador Elena and her team found themselves surrounded by representatives from 28 worlds, former tribute species, now openly allied with Earth. "The founders are enacting Sovereignty protocol," explained Krill, a methane-breathing representative whose translucent body pulsed with anxiety. "They're reclaiming direct control of all Council infrastructure and military assets." Commander Okafor's tactical display showed Council military vessels converging on key systems, including Sol. "This isn't just about Earth anymore. They're moving to reassert control over every world that's embraced our open communication network." "Then we accelerate our timeline," Elena decided. "Dr. Patel, what's the status of final phase?" "Earth Defense Command reports deployment at 60% and climbing," Dr. Patel answered, studying her datapad. "But Ambassador, even at full implementation, we don't know if it can counter whatever technology allowed that dreadnought to bypass our defenses." Intelligence Specialist Novak looked up from his communication terminal. "The dreadnought is broadcasting its ultimatum to all worlds connected to our network. They're trying to isolate us." "They won't succeed," Elena said firmly. "The founders maintain power by keeping species divided. Every world connected to our network understands that now." The hub station shuddered again as more ancient systems activated. Sections of corridor sealed off, trapping representatives inside. "We need to move," Krill urged. The station's original architects included emergency passages unknown to later administrators. The Allied group moved through maintenance tunnels, guided by Krill's knowledge of the station's original design. They emerged near the docking bays where chaos reigned as hundreds of diplomatic vessels attempted to depart simultaneously. "Ambassador, urgent communication from Earth Defense," Commander Okafor announced, receiving data through his tactical implant. "The Council dreadnought has deployed some kind of energy-dampening field. Our defensive systems are losing power." Elena's face hardened. "The final phase?" "Still deploying, but slowed by the dampening effect." Dr. Patel suddenly grabbed Elena's arm. "Ambassador, I've been analyzing the dreadnought's energy signature. It's not using conventional power sources, it's tapping directly into the quantum vacuum. 0-point energy? But far more advanced than our implementation," Elena realized. "Yes, but there's a pattern to the energy extraction," Dr. Patel continued excitedly. "They're using a controlled resonance cascade. Incredibly efficient but potentially unstable if the resonance frequency is disrupted." Elena turned to the gathered representatives. "We need to coordinate our response across all allied worlds. Each of your planets has now built 0-point energy extractors based on Earth specifications. If we modify them to broadcast on a counter-resonance frequency, we could disrupt the dreadnought's power source," finished Tal, a crystalline being similar to Vorthax but with gentler features. "But such coordination would require simultaneous adjustment across thousands of devices on dozens of worlds. Which is exactly why the founders never anticipated such a response." Elena smiled grimly. Their system of controlled isolation meant no species could ever coordinate on this scale before. Throughout the galaxy, scientists from 28 worlds worked together through the quantum network, modifying their energy extractors according to Dr. Patel's specifications. As one group encountered problems, others offered solutions. Knowledge flowed freely, unrestricted by Council information controls for the first time in millions of years. Meanwhile, Earth's defense fleet engaged with Council forces at the edge of Sol system. Though outnumbered, Earth vessels demonstrated shield technology that rendered conventional Council weapons ineffective. The battle quickly became a stalemate, exactly as planned. "The modifications are ready," Dr. Patel announced hours later. "All allied worlds report their systems prepared for synchronized activation." Elena addressed all connected worlds through the quantum network. "What we are about to attempt has never been done before. A coordinated technological response across the galaxy. No matter the outcome, you have already proven that cooperation surpasses control. Initiate counter-resonance now." Across 28 worlds, thousands of modified 0-point energy extractors simultaneously shifted their operational frequency. The effect was not immediately visible, but in Earth orbit, the massive Council dreadnought's energy field flickered. "It's working," Dr. Patel exclaimed, watching the readings from Earth Defense Command. "The dreadnought's power systems are destabilizing." The dreadnought's weapons powered down as its crew desperately tried to stabilize their energy systems. Earth's smallest defense vessel, a prototype craft barely larger than a shuttle, approached the massive ship and fired a precision strike at a newly vulnerable point in its shield matrix. The dreadnought didn't explode. Instead, it simply went dark, all systems failing simultaneously as its advanced power core safely shut down to prevent catastrophic failure. Throughout Council space, other vessels experienced similar effects as the counter-resonance spread through the quantum vacuum itself. The coordinated response had achieved in moments what no single world could have accomplished alone. In the Galactic Hub's main communication center, which the Allied representatives had managed to secure, Elena received reports from across the galaxy. Council military operations had ground to a halt as their advanced ships lost power. The Founders' attempt to reassert control had failed. "We've received a communication request," Novak reported, "from High Arbiter Vorthax." The crystalline figure that appeared on the main display looked diminished somehow, his usual brilliance dulled. "Ambassador Reyes, the Council requests an immediate cessation of hostilities." "There are no hostilities from our side, High Arbiter," Elena replied calmly. "Merely a coordinated defense against an unprovoked attack. The Council is willing to discuss adjustments to the tribute system," Vorthax offered, his voice lacking its former authority. "The time for adjustments has passed," Elena stated firmly. "The galaxy has seen what's possible when knowledge flows freely and worlds cooperate as equals. There is no returning to the old system." Before Vorthax could respond, the display split to show another face, one of the 7 founding races who had been noticeably absent from recent council sessions. The being resembled a shifting tapestry of light and shadow. "I am Elder Lumina of the Photonic Collective," the being introduced itself. 3 of the 7 founding races wished to speak with Ambassador Reyes, privately. In a secure communication chamber, Elena met with representatives from the Photonic Collective, the Quantum Harmonics, and the Void Architects, 3 of the original founding races. "We have watched your species with great interest," Elder Lumina began. "Your approach to galactic cooperation is reminiscent of the original council, before it became focused on control rather than guidance. The tribute system was meant to be temporary," explained the Void Architect representative, "a being that seemed to exist partially in another dimension, a means of stabilizing a chaotic galaxy during its early development. But power, once consolidated, is rarely relinquished willingly," added the Quantum Harmonic, whose form vibrated with complex patterns. "Over millions of years, the means became the end." "Why tell me this now?" Elena asked. "Because what you've initiated cannot be undone," Elder Lumina answered. "The free flow of information, the sharing of technology, the direct cooperation between worlds, these forces will transform the galaxy regardless of the Council's wishes. We propose a transition," offered the Void Architect. "Not back to the old system, but toward a new form of galactic governance, one built on the principles of cooperation your world has demonstrated." "A governance where the founding races still maintain control?" Helena asked skeptically. "A governance where experience provides guidance but not dominance," corrected the Quantum Harmonic. "We have existed for millions of years. We have seen civilizations rise and fall. That perspective has value, but perhaps not as absolute rulers." Elena studied them carefully. "And the other founding races?" "Will resist," Elder Lumina acknowledged. "But their power depends on systems that are already failing. The choice now is between a chaotic transition or a managed one." As Elena considered their proposal, her communicator signaled an urgent message from Earth. Dr. Patel's voice came through, filled with excitement. "Ambassador, final phase is complete. The distributed quantum network has achieved full synchronization across all allied worlds. We've created the first truly unified interstellar consciousness, not by merging minds, but by allowing instantaneous communication and coordination between independent worlds." The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council stood transformed. The hierarchical tiers had been reconfigured into a circular arrangement, where all representatives occupied positions of equal prominence. The imposing high table of the founding races had been replaced by a simple raised platform, where speakers could address the assembly. Ambassador Elena Reyes stood on this platform, facing representatives from over 400 worlds, nearly the entire galactic community. The quantum communication nodes pioneered by Earth now served as universal translators, allowing direct understanding between all species without council interpretation. 3 months ago, Earth was summoned before this council and demanded to pay tribute, Elena began. Today, we present humanity's formal response. Holographic displays activated throughout the chamber, showing the new Galactic Charter, a living document that had been collaboratively developed by all participating worlds over the past 90 days. Earth rejects the concept of tribute, not out of pride or defiance, but because it represents a fundamental misunderstanding of what interstellar cooperation can achieve. Elena continued. Our response is not to deny resources to those who need them, but to ensure that no world need struggle for what can be abundantly provided through shared knowledge. Behind her stood representatives of the founding races who had chosen cooperation over conflict: the Photonic Collective, the Quantum Harmonics, and the Void Architects. The remaining founders, including Vorthax, were noticeably absent. Humanity's response to your demand is this. Instead of tribute, we offer partnership. Instead of submission, we offer collaboration. And instead of the few controlling the many, we offer governance by consensus. The new Galactic Assembly, formerly the Council, voted overwhelmingly to adopt the Charter of Cooperative Worlds. Its first provision ensured that technological developments would be shared equitably among all member species. Outside the chamber, Dr. Patel stood with representatives from 17 different worlds. Together, they had achieved what none could have done alone: the first practical interstellar teleportation system. The principles were theoretically sound, explained Dr. Patel to a group of curious ambassadors, but each of our worlds had only pieces of the solution. The Ardelians understood quantum field manipulation. The Vosh Collective had mastered entanglement preservation. Earth contributed our advances in consciousness pattern stabilization. And together, we accomplished in months what the founding races couldn't achieve in millions of years of isolated research, finished her colleague from the Crystalline Meridian Alliance. Elsewhere on the station, Commander Okafor oversaw the transformation of military assets into a galactic peacekeeping force. Ships were being reconfigured, with crews composed of members from multiple species, ensuring no single world could exert control. Each vessel will maintain its own command structure, Okafor explained to the assembled officers. But overall strategic direction comes from the Assembly's Defense Council, with rotating membership from all sectors. An officer from one of the former Council military forces raised an objection. Our ships were designed for our biology. Multi-species crews would require extensive modifications. Already underway, replied a Tellurian engineer, activating a holographic display showing modular living and working spaces, adaptive environmental systems, universal control interfaces, and translation fields. Another example of what becomes possible when we pool our knowledge. In the Assembly's new Information Center, Intelligence Specialist Novak worked with counterparts from former tribute worlds to establish the Open Archive, a repository of knowledge previously restricted by the Council, now accessible to all species. The most challenging aspect wasn't the technology, Novak told a journalist documenting the transition. It was reconciling different cultural approaches to information sharing. Some species consider certain knowledge sacred, others dangerous, others purely utilitarian. Yet all agree that suppression serves no one, added his colleague from the gaseous Catherian consciousness. We've created protocols respecting cultural sensitivities while ensuring no world can be deliberately kept ignorant of critical advances. The former tribute worlds began experiencing a remarkable renaissance. Their unique evolutionary perspectives contributed to an explosion of art, philosophy, and scientific advancement. Trade flourished, but now based on mutual benefit rather than enforced dependency. 3 months after that first confrontation in the council chamber, Ambassador Elena prepared to return to Earth. Her official duties complete, she packed her few personal belongings in the embassy that had been humanity's outpost in galactic politics. A chime announced a visitor, Elder Lumina of the Photonic Collective. Ambassador Reyes. The assembly has a request, the ancient being said, its form-shifting patterns of light creating an impression of formal deference. We ask that you remain as the first facilitator of the new Galactic Assembly. Elena looked surprised. Facilitator? Not to lead, Elder Lumina clarified, but to guide the collaborative process you helped create. Few understand both the old system and the new vision as clearly as you do. Your perspective would be valuable during this transition. Before Elena could respond, her communication device activated with an emergency signal. Dr. Patel's face appeared, her expression both concerned and excited. Ambassador, our long-range scanners have detected something approaching from beyond the galactic rim. It appears to be another civilization. Initial analysis suggests technologies unlike anything in our records. Elder Lumina's light pattern shifted to what Elena had learned to recognize as alarm. The prophecies of the Void Architects spoke of this, that our transformation would coincide with first contact beyond our galaxy. The Assembly convened an emergency session. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to determine how to respond to this unprecedented situation. After hours of debate, they reached a unanimous decision. The first diplomatic contact with a neighboring galaxy should be led by humanity, the species that transformed tribute into partnership. 1 year after the Council had demanded tribute from Earth, Elena Reyes found herself aboard the Concordia, the first vessel of the new Galactic Assembly's diplomatic corps. Crewed by members of 23 species working in seamless coordination, the ship represented everything the old Council had feared and suppressed: unbounded cooperation, shared innovation, and genuine unity among diverse worlds. As the Concordia prepared to depart for the intergalactic rendezvous point, Elena received one final message. To her surprise, it came from High Arbiter Vorthax, who had retreated to a remote world with his few remaining loyalists. I have observed the transformation you initiated, the message read. For 12 million years, we believed control was necessary for stability. I still question whether your approach will endure, but I cannot deny its achievements thus far. The galaxy you've created moves faster, adapts quicker, and innovates more boldly than anything we dared allow. Perhaps that is what we lost over our long reign. As the Concordia engaged its drive, Systems, a revolutionary design combining technologies from 7 different worlds, Elena composed a reply. The tribute you demanded would have diminished. Earth. Our response elevated the galaxy. The greatest strength of humanity was never technological superiority or military might, but our capacity to build connections, to see potential allies where others saw only subjects. Perhaps in time you will join us in this new era. The door remains open. The Concordia accelerated toward its historic rendezvous, carrying representatives of a united galaxy ready to meet their cosmic neighbors not as conquerors or supplicants, but as equals offering partnership. Behind them, hundreds of worlds once bound by tribute now flourished in cooperation, their combined potential just beginning to unfold. And on a view screen in a modest dwelling on a forgotten world, Vorthax watched the ship's departure. For the first time in his ancient existence, the crystalline being experienced an unfamiliar sensation. As he observed what humanity had created from the ashes of the old order, his faceted features shifted, in what might have been the first expression of humility. From his species in 12 million years, he reached forward and activated a quantum communication node, one of many that Earth had freely distributed throughout the galaxy. After a moment's hesitation, he connected to the new Assembly's information network and began to read about this revolutionary concept called cooperation. I've created the 5-part story following your guidelines. Each part is approximately 1,000 words and includes an engaging hook at the beginning. The story follows humanity's response to the Galactic Council's tribute demands, showcasing human diplomatic intelligence and strategic thinking against a powerful interstellar governing body. The narrative maintains suspense throughout all 5 parts while incorporating the elements you requested: humans, Earth, diplomatic crisis, the Galactic Council headquarters, alien representatives, and interstellar politics. I've used simple names and avoided the specific names you mentioned. Is there anything specific about the story you'd like me to explain, or any part you'd like me to modify? Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 3.7